I'm incredibly grateful, for having the kind of like the chance to play him.
I listened to a recent interview you did where you talked about getting cast and that you were on holiday when you actually got cast. Can you tell that story?
Well, I mean, it always happens, I'm on a holiday, I'm kind of like driving, and then, the damn phone goes, I'm going, oh, and it's happened a few times, right? And I get near and dear one to answer it, and says, Dad, it's blah blah blah. And so, oh, okay, yeah, put him on speaker, and I have 2 days to kind of memorize this huge kind of monologue. I think it was 3 or 4 pages, and so I took down all the relevant information. They emailed me as well, and so part of that, well, the next 48 hours after that were pretty intense, and just cramming and kind of extrapolating from that enormous monologue, things about the character and stuff, all these little leads, etc., that you go through to find out who they are. It was fairly easy for me to assimilate because I read through it once, and it was just something that I could connect with right away. It was a great boon that they'd sent over so much for me to get interest and detail in the character, and I'm always after kind of that tiny piece of detail. You're just working through it, and it kind of like soaks into your kind of like subconscious, right? You're constantly processing who this person is. It's why I do what I do. I enjoy it so much.
Willoughby is a pretty complex guy, and I'm assuming the monologue that they sent you is the one that you do on the ship's deck.
Yeah.
I was born in Tianzhou and Guangzhou, the city of rams. I was found early to have skill in composition, to make the images of my brush resemble the ideas that dance like grains within my mind. I became known as the Fang Wang, a bird of fire.
What's he on about?
My poetry came before the eyes of Wang Mei. It was a great honor. My name inscribed in the Book of Merit. But there is a condition. All servants of the royal wives must be eunuchs.
What about the character did you connect with?
Well, the sense of alienation, I think, the sense of kind of the frustration, the monologue in the audition piece was more extensive. Was much more extensive. Told me a lot more about the character, right? The fact that this man had left his position in the court. I researched all that. I found out that for him to be in the position that he was, right, he was incredibly powerful, and say unlike say a Western society where say a poet would be quite down the rung, he was kind of way up there. He had respect from everybody, right? And from being a poet, I thought, well, okay, so what can we kind of like extrapolate from being a poet? So he's incredibly well read. I would say his calligraphy would be kind of absolutely perfect. Yeah. So I'm just piling the pressure on myself, right? and he would have all this kind of mana, if you know what I mean. He would know all the classics. He would have gone through, I think, the examinations for the imperial bureaucracy, right? Which from what I've read are incredibly tough. Yeah. I think they lock you up in a very, very small room for 48 hours, right? And you just have to, do your stuff. Just finding all that stuff was fascinating. I put in, just weeks and weeks and weeks of kind of like, work behind him. Yeah.
I heard in the other interview that you've put in literally thousands of hours learning to do the calligraphy.
Well, that really, really kind of bothered me. Well, not bothered me, but it concerned me because, there's a certain beauty to the way that the characters are written. There's a technical expertise that these really good guys have. I went down to Wellington to see a calligrapher there, and he looked at it and said, "Well, I can't really read this because this is a much more kind of older script. Yeah, it's not the modern day script. It's an older script, right?" But he managed to translate it, and the translation matched what they'd given me, and I just went bonkers, right? Just went bonkers. I mean, I kind of with the ballpoint pen, I started, imitating kind of like his brush style, right? So I'm there, with my pen, right? I'm going, okay. The time now is 8 o'clock in the morning, right? I'm gonna go 2 solid hours, right? And you just, go da 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 da, and I start with the first character, right? I try to get the first character, and after I'd gotten some idea of what the first character was, right, and the proportions, I'd start on the second character, and the third character, and the fourth character, fifth character, and then I'd start writing them out in a line, right. Try to get the proportions correct between each character, right? And then I bought myself a cheap watercolor paint set when I was in Scotland, and I started using, the watercolor, and that presented huge problems. Knock myself out, swift left hook, to the chin, yeah. And just kept on, barreling through, because I knew I had to get it right. And, this man being who he was, he would have been after perfection, and within his realms of what, say the character description and the speech had told me. And then there was kind of like a light went off, after that, where if he's going to be so good at kind of poetry, this creative thing, and writing, which is this creative beauty thing, then I thought, well, the next obvious step, I think, for him would be performing or orally kind of performing the poetry itself, right? Poetry shouldn't be read, it should be heard, if you know what I mean.
Their beauty, blooming like lotus flowers, the taste of their breasts like apricots, the scent of a navel in the winter, the warmth of a mound that fills your hand like a ripe peach.
Within kind of like the Chinese tradition of performance arts, there's a certain amount of martial arts as well, and so knowing him, I think he would have been, quite a long way along the road to being a genius, right? He would have to be really good at that as well. And that kind of took me to the crux of the character, I think, where you have this kind of perfect man who is adept at kind of like philosophical and appreciations of kind of beauty and being able to express that. Also, knowing kind of a purely, well, not a purely, but a violent way to express that as well. How can people kind of reconcile a kind of philosophically, you shouldn't hurt people, etc. That's not a good thing. And I know how to hurt people, and there's a dichotomy for the character, which fit, so perfectly, I think, into the monologue, which is, have I made, the correct decision, in leaving China?
I fled on the night of the lanterns. As the fireworks shot from the palace roof, I left my house and came to a place where the golden words of my poems are taken as the clucking of hens, and my brushstrokes for their scratchings. For the love of woman, I am come to a place where no woman is worthy of love, to a place where women are coarse and rank as bears, creatures of no grace, and these women disdain me as a yellow worm, so that even the lowest of whores will not lie with me.
I mean, he went from that to being the drunken, lecherous, despised, laughed at, all that stuff.
Yeah. I figured, it would have just, I think crushed him. And again, it goes back, when he's suffering there, he would have left because he thought, well, I'm going to be more happy, away from this. And it turns out that it wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
And so he descends down the road of, kind of enjoying a beer a bit too much, and just being in a really, really bad space, yeah.
In that same interview you talked about martial arts as a big part of your life and how it really influences the roles you play. You were in the sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but also your approach in life. And I thought that was really interesting, and just wonder how your martial arts practice and that part of you influenced that character.
I think it was a very great influence because, again, you get back to that central kind of core. I think in situations you have a simple decision to make. It's either yes or no. And I figured that this would be, kind of right at the center of what Willoughby is, right? He made a decision and now he's, kind of like starting to doubt that decision. And this has happened to me in real life. I remember at one of my workplaces, right? And being a kind of like a person who worked in a library, you're dealing with the public every day, and I was just wandering along, in my happy little world. I saw a guy come up to this woman who was just sat down, and they obviously knew each other. And then with a right hand cross, he hit her on the forehead, smack, and she went down, and kind of, I always remember my dad kind of, because he used to work as a market gardener, kind of like tapping a watermelon, and the sound you make when the watermelon is kind of ripe, that was a sound that came from her head, and I heard that a couple of times through my life. She went down, and bang! Instantly, you have a decision to make. Do I get involved, or do I kind of not get involved? Really, really kind of, it's either one or the other. Either one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see the security guard going off to block one kind of entrance, right? And this guy was quite a bit kind of like younger than the security guard. I could see him coming towards my way, so I went and blocked the other one, the other kind of out gate. And so now I'm looking straight at him, right? I'm waiting for him to make the first move, right? And he makes the move. I come on the outside and put an arm bar on his, arm, yeah. And I'm starting to wheel this way, starting to use momentum. And in those kind of like periods where you have things like this happening, time just slows all the way down, right? Because it lengthens, yeah. It must be the adrenaline, right? And throughout, my mind is ticking over, going, I've seen this happen. Should I break his arm? Yeah. Should I break his arm? Yeah. And I'm still wheeling him around, and I'm going, okay. I've got I've got a wall 2 feet behind me. As I'm wheeling around, should I put momentum and put him into the steel wall? And still going around, and it came to me. The guy isn't hurting anybody at the moment, right? And so I put him on the ground, put him in a lock, and one of my mates called the cops. And they took 40 minutes to get there, and so yes, no, a kind of rationale to only, I suppose, act when there is such a situation like that. I gave kind of like, I suppose I couldn't help it, but I gave Willoughby that.
What have you done to her, you wicked heathen? You are not welcome here. Fine. We'll be going. Come, sister. Margaret, we're leaving. You are not leaving with her. I didn't answer to that like I said you. Margaret, Mistress Abernathy is expecting our services to be rendered. Do not touch me, Chinaman.
I'm Yi Tentor. I know what you've done to her. You are not worthy of this woman.
You'll come with me now. Or must I use a stick?
No, you made me tell fortunes with the riddles. I won't do it anymore.
He did something out of kind of like necessity, and whether there wasn't enough restraint involved. I mean, it's a purely instinctual moment. I did talk with the actor who played the brother, and obviously the actor who played Margaret, right? And we did have a kind of like a session for about an hour or two, just working things out, etc., what may have happened, this and that. How kind of Margaret would have told Willoughby, certain things, yeah, to get him to that point where it's just, okay, this is it, bam.
Would she hold that against him at all? Do you think she's gonna wake up one day and say, you actually killed my brother?
If it turns out that Margaret starts thinking about this sort of thing, and then eventually saying, well, you killed my brother, you bastard, Willoughby would have to accept that. Yeah. I think one of the major things about him was getting back that control and getting away from the drink and getting away from being kind of treating women properly, so that he could understand himself and then express himself in a more positive manner.
Please tell me that is not Mr. Willoughby.
I would, Sassenach, but I would have to lie to you. Willoughby, what have you got yourself into?
He licked my elbow. He said he just wanted to rub it. I told him it cost a penny a minute. Then he just up and licked it. And without paying additionally.
I haven't read the books or anything, but there was something. I think a few people who were much more knowledgeable than me said, "Oh, so how did you reconcile kind of like his foot fetish?" in the books, right? And it's, I'm going, well, I prefer to keep that private. But when I was at drama school, back in the 90s, right, I played an Irish character. I think it was a short season of Irish plays that we were doing, Brendan Behan. And so I put on this kind of like Northern Irish accent, but I gave him a foot fetish, right? So I know what I'm talking about, Che. I know what I'm talking
about. Oh my, yes, he did. His character was changed from the books, and I think, given everything, that was a positive change. And it's interesting to me that you never read the books, but yet you got so much of his character. And I know that episode 309 is what it is. Have you watched them?
Well, I'll admit another thing. Damn, he didn't read the damn books. He didn't see the show either.
Well, many people don't like to watch themselves, but honestly, you were the standout in that episode. You were amazing. And I think that because the character was changed, if it wasn't handled as well as you handled it, it could have not come off very well,
Well, look, thank you very much. That means a lot, some really, really kind words there. So thank you. I'm always after that last little capping detail on the characters that I play. There was some video that I did for publicity where I talked about making him a real person, with faults and stuff like that, and that was my objective, to always make him real. I know there's been some controversy concerning how the book appeared, I think, in Voyager, how it kind of like, I don't know, divided the readership, I think. I don't know. But I didn't investigate it too much, because I was told via kind of like a little video Skype thing with, I think, Marl, I think, and one of the writers, that they were going to change the character.
So you are ethnically Chinese.
Yeah.
Do you speak the language?
I speak a little bit of Cantonese, but it's so rusty and kind of crappy. I should be much, much better than I am. And I will have to make, I think, time to reconnect with the Cantonese, the language and stuff. Yeah.
Do you remember what Mr. Willoughby says to Claire in the World's End?
My pleasure. Yi Tian Cho.
I'm afraid I don't.
She used your given name, Yi Tian Cho, and you said something appreciative or something. Maybe it was lewd. I don't know.
Oh, no. We'd never be lewd to Claire. We'd never be lewd to Claire. What? No, heavens. Was that the scene in the pub?
Yes. At the very end.
Yeah. She, I think, was it Kate goes, Yi Tian Cho. Yeah, Yi Tian Cho. Hai la. I'm actually praising her for actually using the name. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Did playing this role bring you closer to your heritage? Did you learn things about it, or did you, like, are you thinking, oh, I want to do calligraphy, or I never ever want to do calligraphy again, or I want to?
Well, you're absolutely right. It kind of like brought me closer, and the calligraphy and stuff. One of the things with my father coming over here, and being in the situation we were when I was younger, was that I never ever got to learn the calligraphy and stuff. Yeah.
So you were born in New Zealand, but your father came from China.
Yeah. And so it reawoke interest in finding out, more about myself and understanding myself.
And I'm wondering, did you know about Ping An?
Ping An,
the pelican?
There were rumors that I would be kind of, acting with a pelican, right? And I'm going, okay, yeah, and that I would be in the water, right? And I'm going, well, so that means I have to kind of bone up on my swimming, right? Yeah.
This was a demanding role. This was a demanding role.
It was tough. It was the sweat was just coming from me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I had heard about that, and there were rumors, of kind of like pelican, and me kind of like scene work, but it never arose. So I'm a little bit disappointed.
After the fact, the writers did a little Q&A, and they said the visual effects, they already were dealing with so much with the storm and everything, and to add in the pelican was just too much. They couldn't do it. I guess Ping An was in the scripts until the very end, and they just said we can't do it. So
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, it's understandable. I can imagine, how much money would be poured into a kind of I don't know, a CG pelican.
Yes. Which was your favorite scene to actually do?
My favorite scene would be, I think, the scene between Willoughby and kind of like Margaret, I think, in the garden. Yeah. It was would have been about 1 o'clock, I think, in the morning on some vineyard estate in South Africa.
You are a rare soul.
And you are rarer still. 有天普罗法
What does that mean?
Flower from heaven.
So it was, obviously a late, kind of like night shoot, yeah. And I remember having a talk with the actor, and we talked through the scene, and we found a way, I think, for both characters, I think, to be comfortable, in that exchange. Yeah. So I was really, really happy. And I'm pretty sure she was pretty happy with kind of like, the result and how he handled it and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think that was a scene between two really talented actors, for one thing. I thought she was fabulous too. So again, in lesser hands, it could have been, where we were all going, come on,
Well, just a little more background to that. I think part of the reason why it was that late, right? And we've been on set, I think, since about 10:30. And obviously, in this business, it's kind of like the army. Hurry up and wait. I think they had problems because there was a sprinkler system that went off. Via kind of like a little timer, right? So, water flying everywhere, and I think that had a little bit to do with how late it was, but I think it would have been 5-6 takes, I think. Yeah, so it was over very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because we knew what we wanted, I think.
Do you have any funny stories or especially memorable moments from set?
I have one which makes me look like a bit of an idiot, but I'll I'll tell you anyway. It was, quite funny in retrospect. Now I'm here talking to you about it. But at the time, it was a little bit embarrassing. And we were in South Africa. I was kind of like chatting away with my mates, from Scotland, etc. And we were told that Diana Gabaldon, yes, the author, yes, was going to be coming around.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm outside, and my Scots mate, I think he went off to get something to eat, and, gave me a bit of crap, and in quite salty language, And so I gave him some, back in quite salty language, right? And then who should turn up? But somebody I didn't know, three people I didn't know, says, look, Gary, this is the author, Diana Gabaldon. And right, I'm going, why, hello, nice to meet you, and I'd see all this, this kind of like filth, just dropping from my mouth, and well, it was a nice little conversation. We talked about the character. I thanked her for writing, such an interesting character, So,
did you prefer shooting in Scotland or in South Africa?
I had been to the UK for my overseas experience. Every New Zealander goes through that during the 90s, right? But never made it up to Scotland. It's hard to say for me because, so much of a place I think depends on kind of like the people, and I love walking, just experiencing the place and then the people that live there. So I don't really think there is a preference. I mean, both are beautiful places. Both have, fabulous people. I mean, Cape Town is incredibly kind of like, beautiful place. You have a national park, which is very, very close by. And there was the guy who plays Father Fogden, old Foggy.
Yes, that's another great one.
And there was Keith Fleming, who played one of the characters, and there was a guy, James Kirk. Yeah. Yes. So I've worked with James Kirk. And we would, just go up. We did Table Mountain. We did Devil's Peak. All these fabulous walks and stuff.
I hear you don't watch much TV. You're very active.
Yeah, that is true. I am active. I do train quite a bit, and kind of like, I like my reading and stuff,
Did you and Sam ever connect over the martial arts? I think he does Muay Thai or something.
I wanted to, but I think with him and kind of like the physical training that he was doing at that time, I think for an article for Muscle Mag, I think, South Africa or something.
Men's Health, I think it was.
Men's Health, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And plus, kind of like the kind of the script burden that obviously he carried, right? We never really got together. Yeah.
Turtle soup.
Turtle soup.
Were you there on set for the turtle soup scene, or was your part outside the door filmed at a different time?
That was one of the tougher kind of scenes that I've kind of like done, right, because I was outside the door. It was totally dark, right? I couldn't hear a damn thing. Yeah. That was really hard, that was magnificently, terrifyingly hard.
Honorable wife, she enjoyed the turtle soup.
Yes, very much.
It was a fine, hawk-filtered, a most elegant feast. Does she wish for more? I have made a fresh pot.
So was that your most challenging scene, was turtle soup?
That little that little thing.
Because okay, so you're saying that Sam and Kat are in this room doing a sex scene, which I've learned is very technical. There's nothing sexy about it. So you were out actually physically there? I figured they did it, a lot of times they'll just do that completely at a different time because you're not shown with them, but I guess you are talking to them through the door.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all you're going to say about that. In the books, Mr. Willoughby we don't see him again after Voyager. Oops, that's a spoiler. Well, I mean, she's writing the 9th book. Maybe we see him, but we haven't seen him between the 3rd book and the 8th book. So, but your Willoughby, has the happily ever after with Margaret. And so I guess there's a possibility that we could see you again.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I really don't know what the word is, I would have started up a trading company, perhaps growing vegetables and stuff, and most people would have gotten together with Fulton, and started up some sort of thing, with the what's the name of that yupa, is it?
May I offer you some yupa?
The kind of hallucinogenic that is Willoughby, right? Well, that's quite good.
Well, that would be good for Margaret, though. She's already got enough going on.
Yeah. Perhaps.
And that Mamacita is not very welcoming.
I suppose especially, I think, Willoughby comes along.
Mamacita, ¿qué pasa? Marinero chino ha matado a Arabella. La sabempúa se la comió.
Arabella.
I think definitely, they did work something out, and Willoughby, Margaret, and Mamacita, and Fulton, established some sort of enterprise. Yeah, that's what I like to think.
Is Mr. Willoughby concerned that Margaret might, in the middle of the night, to go into that abandoned part of herself?
No, that's part of a charm. That's part of a charm, Courtney. Willoughby lives for that, hey? Abandoned.
I appreciate your time so much. And my last question is, what is coming up for you? Is there anything you can talk about that we could look forward to seeing you in, either live or on film or on television? Or
I do appear, I think, in an Australian drama series called Harrow. I think they're in their 3rd season. I think 1 episode in that, yeah. But otherwise, at the moment, just being who I am, and kind of, here in New Zealand.
I think in the interview I heard you say you stay off of the internet and all that stuff. But if you did get on the internet, you'd see accolades and praise about your performance.
Oh, look, thank you very much. Kind words, it means a lot to me. I have been looking a little bit on the internet and Instagram and stuff. It just blows me away. Very, very happy, also very, very humble that kind of, people would want to express that they like my work.
Well, it's so nice to meet you and chat with you. I'm very appreciative.
Look, thank you very much.